Hey, I'm Kirsten, Sobriety Bestie, here to help you on the journey to feeling good sober. And in this video, we're going to be talking about being addicted to the wrong life, whether that means you are in a job that isn't the job that you want to be in, a relationship that you don't want to be in, or whether you're actually addicted or have a dependency upon a substance. Like you're sober already, but there's like a micro addiction or a secondary addiction that's coming up. So what do you do when you're addicted to the wrong life? How do you get through, and how do you do it quickly? Is there one thing that I can tell you that's going to get you free? And of course, it's a complex thing, but I am going to simplify it here. So if you're addicted to the wrong life, this is how you break free. It's all about changing our relationship with discomfort. So this is what I found. So when I quit drinking alcohol in 2009 and got off benzos while I was in rehab at the same time, and then 6 months later, I quit smoking cigarettes, what I realized specifically, especially with quitting smoking cigarettes, it was like every time I was uncomfortable, every time there was discomfort in my body, whether that was fear, anxiety, doubt, some sort of overwhelm, something, my mind said, smoke. And because I wasn't smoking, I noticed that my mind was like, it's time for a cigarette. I'm craving a cigarette. I wasn't actually craving a cigarette. I was really craving, I was, but what I was really craving was to not feel uncomfortable in my skin. And the truth is that like I was always uncomfortable in my skin. Like from childhood, I was always uncomfortable in my skin. Alcohol made me comfortable. The cigarettes made me feel comfortable. So then without them, it's like, what do we do in sobriety? Like if we're uncomfortable, or what if we're like in some sort of life that we feel uncomfortable with, like we're uncomfortable with our job. It's not the right job for us, or relationship, or the place that we live, or however we're living our life, right? So how do we stop being addicted to the wrong life or the wrong substance? So yeah, without smoking cigarettes, it was like I was uncomfortable all the time. And so I had a lot of opportunities to change the way I related to my discomfort, because I'm no longer smoking, I'm no longer drinking, I'm no longer on benzos, right? So I would bring my attention, and here's the key. It's to drop our attention out of our mind, out of the story that we're telling ourselves about whatever it is, right? So if I'm telling a story about whatever's going on, I'm telling that story, it's creating some feelings in my body. Those feelings will get momentum. They add to the more thoughts. There's more thoughts. There's more feelings. I call this like a thought-feeling loop. We're on this thought-feeling loop, right? And the way to break out is that we got to be willing to be with that uncomfortableness, to do it in a new way, to meet our discomfort with a new relationship. So instead of like being uncomfortable and staying in the thing, or being uncomfortable and numbing the thing, it's a willingness to be uncomfortable. And that's quite literally what I did when I got sober. Somewhere around 4 months sober, I committed to courage. And you already know this, but it's worth just saying here, is that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's fear in action. It's being afraid of the thing, but doing it anyways. And because I was pretty much afraid of everything, that's the way that it felt. Like I had a freeway phobia. I was afraid of dogs. I was afraid of leaving the house. I had a phobia of public speaking. I was like, right. So here I am in early sobriety. I'm quite literally like almost afraid of everything. People, the humans. And so I need to be willing to be uncomfortable for a long time, because I felt like I had fallen into this big like hole of fear. And so in order to climb out of that, especially, and then I poured all that alcohol in the fear, right? And then I poured all that alcohol in the hole, and then I poured cigarettes in and benzos in. So I wanted to climb out of the hole of fear. I didn't want to live like that anymore. I was in the wrong life. And so I needed to be willing to be uncomfortable for a really long time as I took these courageous steps out of that. And that's what like all my students and clients do too, that I've seen that works. We need to change our relationship with discomfort. So if you're uncomfortable to leave your job, or you're uncomfortable to leave your relationship, like we're not actually comfortable in the wrong thing. We just think it might be scarier to make the change. So what would it be like if you changed how you relate to your inner world? That's the bottom line here. The way that we feel good sober, is by changing how we feel. We become better feelers. So if you're okay with the feeling of discomfort in your body, if you're okay with the feeling of anxiety and fear and doubt and overwhelm and everything else, if those are allowed to be in your body, then you're free. Because you can change your relationship with them. So instead of saying like, I feel overwhelmed, so I'm going to stop, or I feel all this doubt's coming, or I'm believing the story that it's never going to work, so I'm going to stop. It's like, no. Instead of being doubtful, it's like, doubt's here. Where are you, doubt? To have a conversation with that doubt. That's some of the stuff that I did that really helped me. It's like, okay, so when doubt hits me specifically, I'll go into it and I'll be like, all right, what do you want me to know? What do you need? How can I help you? And instead of believing what the doubt is telling me, I'll go in and like literally like that, I'll have a conversation with the doubt. There's usually information that comes. There's some sort of information. There's something that doubt is telling me. It's usually really wise, or maybe it's like an old part of me, like a childhood part, right? Is actually like afraid of something, and it just needs my unconditional love in that moment. It's almost as if there's like these parts of us that get like splintered off, right? Like in childhood or something, like almost like we have these inner children inside. And the way that we can heal them and integrate them to whole instead of letting them dominate our life and having us be addicted to the wrong life is that just ask them what they need. How can I help you? What's going on? Drop in, connect with them, ask them some questions, try it. It might sound kind of weird if you've never even had this concept before, but like I intuitively started doing this, just kind of like when I would be terrified of stuff, I'd close my eyes and I'd say, what are you afraid of right now? And then as I've grown and studied over the years, I realized that like this is actually part of different kinds of modalities, like therapeutic modalities, the inner child model or internal family systems, right? That there's actually like data that shows that this actually legit works. But I just kind of started intuitively doing it. And then it changed and evolved over the years when I just developed relationships to the parts of me that were uncomfortable. And I allowed them to be there. The problem is that when we allow one of those parts to drive our life, we're not going to be in the right life. We got to be in the conscious seat of choice. Like we make those decisions. For me, it was like when I was committing to courage, which is my invitation to you, if you haven't already, is to commit to courage. In fact, if you want to like seal the deal, write it in the comments. Like, I am courageous. I commit to courage. Write it in the comments. Come on, let's make this as a statement to the world. It really was like that because I was like, I'm afraid of everything. I have to be courageous. Otherwise, I'm going to be in the wrong life. I'm trapped under all this fear. I have to be willing to be uncomfortable as I climb out of this. And so I got really close with my fear. Like I became besties with my fear. I had to. So that's what it is. It's not like it's easy for any of us to get sober or to to change our lives. It's that we just have to do it anyways. We have to find a way through. And so for me, changing that relationship with how I feel, changing my relationship with my anxiety, my doubt, my fear, and my overwhelm, like that was the transformative thing for me. To not let it rule me, but to get to know it, like to become friends with it, to ask it questions, like to let it be there and to get the wisdom from it. And usually what I need in those moments that like if I'm really afraid of something and I feel like that fear coming up and it's really strong, almost like terror where it's like paralyzing, and I drop it and I close my eyes and I ask like, what are you afraid of? What do you need from me right now? It's almost like my present day attention, my present day like love, acceptance, appreciation, just that compassion heals whatever part of me is scared, is terrorized, and it's almost like it integrates back to whole. I say almost like because it feels like it in the moment, but when I looked at the neuroscience, it actually shows that it does. It creates new neural pathways in our brain. So this is like the science that it actually works. So it's one thing to be doubtful that the change isn't possible for us, that we need to stay in the life that's not true for us. It's another thing to create that relationship with our doubt that allows us to break through and almost like integrate that doubt into our wholeness, into ourself. Be like, I see you. I love you. You are welcome. Thank you for that alert and that doubt. And maybe because of the insight from the doubt, there is more information. Maybe the doubt is there because you feel like I'm not good enough. And maybe part of that's true. Maybe you need to hire a mentor, read a book, take a course, do a program, to do a qualification, do something. Maybe you need some sort of support. Maybe you need a counselor. Maybe you need something. And so sometimes the doubt will like actually be like, no, I don't know enough. I'm not good enough is true. And so let me work on becoming good enough. I hope there was something in this video that was helpful for you to make that change in your life that you've been wanting to make and to break free. If so, let me know what it was in the comments that you're going to do, what it is that you're going to change. Commit to courage, like I said. And if there's anything else that you think would be helpful, drop it in the comments as well. I know a lot of people just go to the videos and read the comments. So whatever you want to contribute to the comment community, I'm sure it would be really helpful from whoever else is watching this video who really wants to change their life. So share your wisdom, enjoy your life, take those courageous steps, commit to courage, and you are courageous. You're courageous. Like, live courageously, be the courageous person, and like, it's not easy, but you can do it. It's just willingness to be uncomfortable as we walk outside our comfort zone and expand our comfort zone and expand our life and live in a greater alignment with the truth of who we are, aligned with why we're here. Hope you're having a beautiful day out there. Courageous one. I'll see you in the next video.